record, and I'll make the copy available for your classmates as well. All
Okay.
right, we're doing our second tutorial for our first week, so AMU 1328. I hope you had the chance to go through the materials that's on the page. Maybe watch the video or read the slides or go through some of the readings.
Mhm.
Have any of you done any journalism subjects before?
No.
No. Okay. Are you a fan of writing? No.
It is
Oh,
going to be my career anyway.
okay. Okay. Ellie, Kotomi, do you like writing? Not really.
Well, I'm not a big fan of it, but
You
still
can.
I
Okay.
can do
Yeah.
it.
Well, we are all on university. Okay. So primarily this unit, there will be no exams. That's the best thing. And the number of readings is much less than I think some of your other units, but that means that there is more writing exercises that you may have to do, and you're welcome to do more for my feedback if you want. And there's also more time for you to do investigation. So journalism is as you already know, hopefully you've seen the videos, it's more of a vocational topic, meaning you have to do primary research and secondary research, which is what you do for university anyway. But primary research in our case means you will have to make appointments to interview people, either through phone or through Zoom like this, because it's lockdown or COVID. Or if your area allows it, I really encourage you to go out and meet people. Of course, it all depends on the SOP, wear masks and distancing. But that's where you get your information from newsmakers, from who you want to interview. Now, why are we making ourselves like suffer and speak to strangers and all? Basically, our role in society is to find out information, right, for our audience. So our audience is the public. We are also audience, right? We are also readers of news. We also are students of university. We read information from the university. So we're all audiences. In this subject itself, we are going to be serving, journalists are supposed to be serving all members of public. So meaning your next door neighbor, to your mom, to your friend, to your classmates, to even government people who read your stories. So everybody reads what we write as journalists. And why is it important we go out and search for facts? Is to present as accurately as possible what is going around society. So a simple example would be tomorrow we have another, hopefully never again, a lockdown, right? Where everything has to close for 2 weeks again. So we as journalists have to go and find out from the police, from the authorities, from the hospital, what time, can people go to the shops? Why are we having to stay at home because we have to prevent COVID, things like that. So all this is public information. We are writing it in a short report and then sending it out. So that's basically, we're actually a public information service. And our role is to find out basically the truth and from the source itself. So we're not there to make up stories. We are not fiction writers, not in this unit, because it's not creative writing. We're there to get the actual information. So another example would be yesterday. I don't know if you're both in KL, but we had a big storm and the trees were all toppled and the cars, and thankfully nobody was injured. We as journalists need to find out whether which roads are blocked so that when we inform members of the public, they know which one to avoid, there's no traffic jam. Or if the weather department says there's a big storm coming, stay at home, don't go out and get yourself blown away, things like that. We are the conduit between the public and, I suppose, authorities and newsmakers. So that is the very, very sort of basic role. Why we do it, I mean, is morally right to report the truth, right? It's also part of what we call the fourth estate of society. So if you do other communication subject, you'll come across this term, the fifth, the first, second, third, fourth estate is the press, the journalism, a journalist, the press, the media, they are called the fourth estate. Why? We are here to hold people in power accountable. So let's say in your country, wherever you guys are from, Malaysia, Japan, people, the society needs free public health, for instance, free education. And those people in charge of doing all that is abusing power, or misusing funds, or using your tax money, your parents' tax money, my tax money, to buy luxury car and to spend in Paris and whatever. That needs to be stopped. So how does that come up to light? How does that get reported? So the journalists have that role to investigate those sort of wrongdoings, basically to keep them accountable and to make sure that society functions with accepted morals and accepted governance. Basically, the very basic line is to help society self-govern. So basically, you give the power, you have the power to ask questions and make sure those people who are using public money, those people who are funding Olympics, for instance, instead of doing the Olympics, they go and spend the money, they go and embezzle the money, they go and misuse it. You as a journalist need to criticize it, need to find out the truth and expose it so they can get arrested and dealt with, because Olympic money is public money, is a particular amount of, I think, tax that go into the IOC. So things like that. Even things like your local authority, like the tax. I don't know if you own, your parents own homes, right? They will pay every month, they pay a tax for the land, for the area, right? So that money will go into the local authority to cut the grass, clean the drains, fix the water pipes, whatever. And if that money gets abused or misused, as journalists, we need to step up and find out why, because it's a sign of corruption and it's morally wrong to steal from the public. So that is the basic premise. So in this course, it should be quite fun if you are the type that enjoys something different in school. If you like reading, it's a big thing for this unit. And if you're like what my mom used to call me, a very, not my mom, my friends used to call me a very nosy person, like you like to know about what's happening in your society or what's happening in your student residence, or you are you don't have to be extroverted, or you are very curious about what's happening in your condo area, why that neighbor does this, or how come the security guard is not working, things like that. You're very nosy, you're perfect for this unit. So if you're not, then you are allowed to be nosy in this unit, okay? Because if not, how are you going to ask questions? So the idea of this unit is to get us used to asking questions. So I welcome any sort of questions. No question is stupid. Sometimes the answers are obvious and you still ask. The main thing is you have to open your mouth and ask, because that's how we train ourselves to be journalists, right? No point I've got students who have gone through the whole unit, never asked a single thing, and then before assignment, they'll be like, oh, stress, what am I supposed to do? No, ask from day one. So what I wanted to go through today. So basically that, do you follow any news topics of your own? Ellie, are you following anything? It doesn't have to be anything serious. It can be fashion, music.
Throughout my semester break, I've been in my bubble
Oh.
of K-pop. Embarrassingly, yes, in K-pop. But I also watch other news. It's not really it's quite recent. The arrest of Alexei Navalny of Russia. He's a Russian opposition.
All right,
So
yeah.
yeah. So that case recently got me interested. So far that's one of the news that I like.
That's interesting. Why are you interested in Russia? That's interesting.
I know it because I was scrolling down a video, and this guy he's a journalist from Vox, but I followed his YouTube channel. So he posted that video, so I'm like, okay, let's just watch it, and then yeah, out of curiosity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Hmm.
good. Vox is quite nice videos. Kotomi,
Yeah.
any news do you follow? Anything you are interested? It doesn't have to be politics, or it can be anything.
Well, I'm really interested in COVID-19 because like I'm in
Okay.
Japan. I'm in
Ah,
Japan and I really want to go back to Malaysia. The COVID-19 getting serious in Japan. So harder to get visa again. And I was like, so I follow
ah,
COVID-19
okay,
every
you
day.
follow. Okay. Do you know if the Olympics will go on this year or not sure?
Not sure, but probably no. Because like
Mm,
last year, it was like kind of problem about in Japan. And
mm,
then people, almost people say, oh, we shouldn't do that because COVID-19 getting serious every year. And then this year, like people say, oh, maybe we shouldn't do that.
Yeah, because the cases must still be there and the vaccine is just slowly. Yeah, okay, that's interesting. I always ask the Japanese students if the Olympics is going on, because how are you going to have it, right? So that's
Mhm.
exactly it. So you both have got a sense of, you may not know it, but you're already picking up on what's interesting to you as an audience. So sometimes news is presented like Vox is great because Vox does different elements. They do tags, they do pictures, they do videos, and same with a lot of other mediums. So yeah, read more. I mean, what I would encourage now is, if you're sticking on to this unit, is to start looking at topics that you can start investigating. So because the assignments will require students to think of issues that they are going to ask questions about and research. So within your own areas, wherever you're living, are there issues of environment maybe? Some people talk about, are there maybe the vaccine is being rolled out in your own community? How was the response? Or is there a new fashion trend? Or are you finding there are people who are marginalized in your unit? In last year, this unit had a lot of stories, obviously from COVID. So this we were all caught in lockdown. It was the first time it happened, and we didn't know what's happening. But the class was very good. They found interesting stories in terms of how bus drivers were affected because there's no school, so they have no more income, so they don't know how to pay for rent and pay for their bus leaves and all that. So one of the students actually went out to meet these bus drivers, took photos, took videos. There's no video requirement for the unit, but it can be your record, but it's all text. But she went out to meet them, she arranged and she interviewed. So that's a good story. um Another, let me think, who else? And then another student went to speak to teachers because, like, school teachers suddenly have to do online learning and nobody was prepared. There was no infrastructure, so she interviewed them. What else? Well, there was another story, a very local story in a housing area in where this student lived, because we were not allowed to go out, right? For last year, lockdown was very, very tight. But she found this story where a residents association were complaining about an international school next to them. They were just building a gate entry, and which blocked the traffic flow of. It's really quite petty, you think about it, but it involves people because it affects their lives, right? Traffic jam at the housing estate, which really irritating. Where you live, you can't get home because there's a lot of cars or buses. And then, but the school needs to function. So they needed to build a gate at a place where the buses can come and drop the kids off and all that. So they were disputing for a long time, even lawyers letter. And she even went to the Residents Association to get a map of the thing. And, so she investigated. It's a very local issue in Subang Jaya, if you know what that is, Ellie, right? SS15. She did, it was good. I really thought she did a good job. Then there were other news stories where hard news stories like the big story of Monash not giving discounts to students because everything, right?
That's
So
that's a problem.
are you guys, no, I don't know if you're getting this. I mean, this is recorded, but it's only going to be for our class. So yeah, right. We were discussing this for weeks and weeks last year, and so many why it's important? Because it affects all of the students, parents, families, right? And of course, the university also is in a position where what do we do if we give discount and budget? So there's this sort of conflict. Conflict will make news. And a couple of students really went and asked the university for a comment, interview student associations, try to get everybody's view. Of course, you want a discount because things have changed. You can't use the lab, the libraries are all online. So that was a nice story there. Of course, there's no solution because I think it's probably still going to be talked about this time, right? So that was one. Another one was some international students was sort of stuck in Malaysia because that time it was very difficult to fly out, right? Because you needed this and that. So a student went and did that angle. So you get loads of interesting topics that you yourself can cover. So I don't know whether I said it in a lecture video, but I might have said the material will come from the class. So when you present your ideas in class, it doesn't matter if it's a silly idea like a gate dispute or a swimming pool dispute or something bigger like a policy dispute. You present it and think about how can I do it? How can I, as practically, am I able to arrange for anything online? Can I call people? Can I email interviews are not allowed because it's very difficult for you to learn the interviewing skills. So this Zoom is much better because if you can't go out and you prefer to be online, that's fine. I think a lot of people wouldn't mind that. Or sometimes people don't mind talking to you on a WhatsApp call, which is free. Like, you use data. So you can do all that. So yes, it's a practical unit. I mean, I enjoyed being a reporter because I just didn't like sitting in class. So I just like moving and stuff. So this might be something that you enjoy doing. I'm just trying to think of other story ideas that the last SEM kids did. For soft news stories, they did the Dalgona coffee. So everyone was making Dalgona coffee. It looks like it lah, and I honestly haven't tried. I don't know what it's about. But so this Gabriel did a story. So he interviewed a few people, interviewed a cafe, he interviewed some students making it, maybe a chef, whatever, and he wrote a nice story on Dalgona. It is entertaining. It's not so serious, but it's quite light and it still fulfills public interest. Is because it informs, it entertains, it's an unusual thing, and it follows, if you've read the news values, it follows the news values that we talk about. It needs to be unusual or novel, it's entertaining, it informs, it serves public interest. What else? Then there's a lot of students did a lot of a story about a hockey club in somewhere. This guy was part of his own ice hockey, not even just hockey, ice hockey in Malaysia, which is strange because it was so hot, right? So he did a story about how they're trying to raise money and increase membership. It was quite simple, but he went and interviewed the hockey president and stuff like that and got photos for us. So it was quite good. Oh no, and this guy also did quite an interesting story about a drug addiction. So he found out that within fitness gyms, some of the people going to the gyms were taking a particular supplement, which is actually poison or very bad for you, but they were taking it so that they can become bigger and bigger, bigger. So he went and investigated and asked some fitness trainer. I think he asked the doctor and someone else. So he got a pretty decent story. So you can do that sort of story. And how he knew about it was because he started talking to his friends about training in the gym. And they were like, yeah, the problem in the gym is these young guys taking this supplement and it's not good. It's not illegal, weirdly enough, but you can't take it excessively. So then I said, okay, you got to ask an expert about the efficacy and the potency of this such thing. Is it allowed, whatever? So he went and got a doctor. So it's all doable. Yeah, I think that's great. What else? So a lot of stuff on COVID. So many things on COVID. One student from Bangladesh, because he was stuck in Monash Sunway residence, so he cannot go anywhere, right? So, but he could walk around, buy food. So he started talking to workers at the restaurants, and they haven't been paid because there's no business. So he started highlighting that issue. So that can be an issue too. So, but he went out and spoke to them because he had the recordings and all that, which is as evidential thing. So it's like, okay, So you don't have to go far. Another student did something about food delivery guys, like how they have to work so hard, but you know how much they earn in food delivery? But they have to do 20 jobs to only get how much, you know? So the plight of food delivery. Yeah. So that were actually really, really quite good story ideas. Of course, writing it, angling it, you learn it. And then if you do become a reporter or writer in the future, you will get better and better. But finding the issue first is the most difficult part. But once you are comfortable looking at issues around you, you're fine. I'm just trying to think of any other interesting stories. Domestic violence went up in Sri Lanka, involving women getting beaten up by their husbands because it's lockdown. They can't go out. So a Sri Lankan student went out to, investigate. He got some data from a woman's NGO and he interviewed a victim. He protected her name, interviewed. So the story was pretty good. It's sort of an old topic, like domestic violence, but because of lockdown, that is the new angle, right? Like, for no reason, we all have to stay at home and these poor wives have to face their, abusive husband. So more cases were up. One interesting story, which this girl did from Pakistan, she was here, but she managed to call some lawyers in Pakistan and found out that a lot of Pakistani prisoners were dying of COVID because it's in a horrible condition. In a particular prison in where was it? In a town in city in Pakistan, they had more and more cases. So she spoke to a lawyer, a prison department guy who gave her some statistics, and some other person, I can't remember. But all pretty legit because she gave me the recordings, even though she spoke in Urdu, but I believe her. I can Google and check it out. So that was an interest. I thought so. She, instead of like just because she's Pakistani and she's in Malaysia, she doesn't know anyone. So instead of just restricting herself to here, she thought, hey, I can call home and see what contacts I have. Maybe there's a story I can dig up there. Fantastic. So it doesn't have to be serious as prison stories. It can be something just in your backyard. So my advice for the next few weeks as we go along is to start looking around you in your own area. Maybe Google your local news, see what other reporters are writing. They see, oh, maybe they're writing about recycling, or they have a new campaign to collect money to help the poor, the people who lost jobs for COVID. I'm finding out from my airline friend that my pilot friends are all going to do food delivery because there's no jobs. All these are novel, they're new, they're interesting, and they reflect how society is, changing, right, as an impact from COVID. So as journalists, you are recording history. We're not making history, but we're recording history so that, in future people will know what happened in 2020 and 2021. Oh, okay. Any questions so far? This is just what we're expected to do for the unit. Does it sound like you will stay or? Yeah, because sometimes some students I had one student last year and he was like, what do you mean I have to go and speak to people, Miss Susan? I said, yeah, it's journalism. We mean I can't just read and write an essay? No, no, it's not. That's why it's called Intro to Journalism. Oh, and he was like, so stressed. But he stayed on and did some work. I mean, it wasn't the best, but he did try. He did speak to people. So it just puts you out of your comfort zone. Okay. Any sort of things that you want to ask now? Or not, I'll just go through the first assessment maybe, and then we can. Yep. Kotomi. Oh, Ellie.
Why is no, is something related to this unit? Why is the unit continuing this year? Like,
Is it
this is the last offering.
I think so. I was told. I don't know why.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
I think for you, when you do it, when you do your second, third year, there will be the second, I think there'll be multimedia journalism and there'll be broadcasting as well. So no problem. If you're doing it this year, you'll have continuity. I don't know. I mean, I'm being recorded, but I've been told this for many, many years already that they want to stop it because maybe they feel there are not enough students. But each year I see the intake is pretty good. You know, this year we have 42, last year we have 20, about 30. So it's not a small number. I don't know. And there are lots of expertise like myself. I've only taught this 2 years, but I've taught 10 years ago at Monash, same third year subjects for journalism, proper investigation. They had to spend the whole SEM really investigating an issue. I've taught business reporting, and then this unit as well. And then my colleagues like Just One, Vanita, they are very, very senior experienced teachers and they are teaching. So they are teachers, the university decides. So hopefully they will delay.
Okay.
Because for me, I mean, even though you may not become a journalist, but I think it teaches you really good skills, right? Not just because it can be quite academic. What more, we're all online, right? So now at least this unit tries to get you to do something different, whether you're shooting or writing, interviewing someone. Yeah. That's
Okay.
the long answer of it.
It's okay.
Okay, so I hope you also join. I think both of you joined this. Ellie already on Discord lah, so you just joined the server, right? Are you able to join the server? Yeah, okay. And then Kotomi already there. That's fine. So I'm just gonna share screen. I'm not gonna go through line by line stuff because it's all there. I'd rather take questions, huh? But just to just quickly see what's this attendance expectations. Okay. So our first assessment is not due till May, but at least the work starts next week. So it's basically a social media monitoring exercise. And if you have no intention of joining Facebook or Twitter, please join for just this unit. After you finish the assignment, you can delete your accounts, okay? Why we're using those things is just it's an old technology, but Twitter is still popularly used by a lot of news organizations like BBC, New York Times, Washington Post, and even NHK and all that to tweet news, breaking news. You know, when something happens, like when Trump lost the election, so many news came out from Twitter. They use it as a tool to spread news out very fast. The reason we use Facebook is because everyone knows it, whether they like it or not. So it's the page is there and it can be and it's enclosed. Discord doesn't give me the room to interact on posts. So Facebook gives us, you can post and then you all can discuss underneath. So what happens in this assignment is for next week onwards until April 26th, or at least 6 weeks lah. So next week you count 6 weeks, excluding the break, I think. Never mind, we'll just check the numbers again. But anyway, 6 weeks you monitor the news, look for two new breaking news stories, tweet them. Just tweet them. You can retweet them. So you read BBC, okay, an explosion has gone off in this place, in Beirut, for instance. Tweet them when it breaks. That tweet, copy and then put it in Facebook, where you will write an extended post. And then just, meaning you just copy the link over, and then I want you to discuss why it made news. Why was a story about an explosion Beirut making headlines? Who cares? People care, right? Because people in Beirut will suffer, there will be casualties and stuff. Same thing, if you find a local news, I don't know, local politician gets arrested for corruption, then tweet it, and then, oh, that's maybe not, oh yeah, that might be a breaking news. Tweet it because it's immediate, it's urgent. Let's say the local prime minister gets sentenced for jail, right? Which he has in Malaysia. That's important because he was such a figurehead and everybody knew about how much money he abused. Then after tweeting the same story, put it in Facebook, write a discussion and say, why is this news? Why do people care about what happens to Malaysia's former prime minister? Because then you can explain. And then the interaction on Facebook will be graded, just so that we can have an idea that you understand what news value is. Why does some things like that make news? Because it involves somebody public and involves public money, right? So everybody in the public should know, if wrongdoings are being recorded, or if there is a disaster. Why is it important for people to know? Because people need to take precautions, etc. So once you join the Facebook group, you can, if I think you can scroll down to the older posts and just see how the past students have done it. Yeah, so that's just the skeleton of it. Okay, and that is not due till May, but why we are doing this is quite a cumbersome exercise, I admit, but it was designed by the past lecturer. But what I find really helps is for people who don't read any news at all, it forces a lot of students, you have to read now because you know you have to record it. You know, some people just wake up for tutes, eat, play games, and go to bed. So, which was admitted on Monday, yeah, by a couple of them, which is quite funny. But now, next week onwards, you have to read news. And it can be entertainment, it can be cultural news, sports. Sports is a great, you know, if the Olympics is postponed again, that's breaking news, right? That's a big deal. And all that. So sports, what else? Music. So yeah, so that is the assignment. So just go through and then have a think about how you want to set up your accounts and maybe when do you want to start monitoring. You don't have to monitor every day. You just have to post 2 a week. The same 2 posts you post on Twitter, you write and you bring it over to Facebook and just do a discussion there. That's all we need. But it needs to be done every week for 6 weeks. Why? So that you're used to it. So let's say you're the typical person that gets up very early, unlike the boys in the teams. You pick up news, you scroll, you see, oh, there's this Russian arrest, right? This guy, why has he been arrested? Is it breaking news? Think about it and then tweet. And then in Facebook, you can explain why it's news. So just to train us to be familiar with what news values are. Okay, all right, that's the first assessment. Are there any questions? No, this quite, yeah, so that's fine. So other than that, the rest of it is like soft news story. So this will be quite fun to do. We'll talk more about it next week, but it's all human interest story, something quite quirky. You know, maybe you found, I don't know, some rich person who's donated all his money to COVID to help people. You know, that's quite a quirky story. I really like the stories of last year where wildlife started coming back into hotel grounds because no one in hotel, right? And then you suddenly see lots of wild boar, especially hotels by the islands, like in Langkawi, where I was for New Year's. And the staff told us that there were wild boars, there were more monkeys, you know, langur monkeys, like it was so quiet and peaceful. So that's the story because normally it'd be full of people, but because of lockdown, the animals stayed in the hotel instead. So it was quite funny. Yeah, those sort of stuff is quite interesting for you. Or you could do a personality piece, like you know, you meet someone interesting that you think that your readers will enjoy it. You can propose anything, but I will ask why it makes it interesting. And if you can pitch that, that'd be great. So that's the first story that's due, but it's only in April. And then of course, so and so the others are pitches and stuff we'll talk about along the way. Okay, so the requirement is to just keep abreast of news. Whatever it can be just your area. Where are you in Japan, Kotomi? In Tokyo or?
Yeah, I'm in Tokyo.
Okay, so there's lots of things happening. And if you find something in Japanese that you think can be written, but in English and you're comfortable, you can always propose the idea. Yes, so I think I run out of things to say for now. Basically next week, what I do want to do is start getting people to talk about what they've read that day. Yeah, so that we can get familiar in speaking. It's okay, the camera's on or off, but just get familiar in speaking about ideas and issues. And there will be a writing exercise also next week where you get to practice how to write what's inverted pyramid and such. Okay, all right, so that's the gist of it. Yes, I'll take any questions. Ask me anything.
I don't think there's any questions at the moment.
Okay,
At the
that's
moment,
good.
at the moment, yeah.
So new. All right. Is the I think Yali's used to Discord. Is Discord okay for you, Kotomi? in terms of using, yeah, that's fine, right? No issue. All right, so maybe we still have a bit of time. So maybe in the next 10 minutes or so, maybe you can just quickly brainstorm anything that comes to mind that you think you can write about. Nothing is impossible for journalists, but within your area or maybe in your school, your dorm, or something your mother told you about, maybe just 3 ideas. It doesn't have to be well developed. I'll just pause the recording and then we'll speak again in about 10 minutes and then just see whether we can at least get that investigation going. Okay, so I'm just going to hide for a while. Come back here at now it's 11:40, 11:50, and then we can maybe have a bit of a discussion.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, you want to go and run a tutorial.
So cute.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
my. Okay, come. Oh, he wants to be behind the scenes. All right. So, Ellie, got any sort of ideas that you?
International news, not much, because so far it's like mostly serious for me. Except Navalny, I'm still interested in it. Yeah. For entertainment, maybe I can look for K-pop because I'm still into K-pop.
Okay,
Because there's like, a lot of new music coming out. Uh,
right. You can
as for yeah,
go
as
ahead. Go
for
ahead.
as for local news, I'm thinking of like four different topics. Either vaccine in Malaysia, because even though we're still like on the way, but I've heard like even from my uncle, he's very hesitant and he's like one of the anti-vaxxers. So I want to know why.
Mm.
Like, why are you not taking it? Um, and then I want to interview like veterinary doctors because recently I went to do a checkup for my cats. So
Mm.
I think it'll be an interesting news, at least like a heartwarming stories, kind of
For
angle.
for for cats, okay. What's the angle on cats that they get COVID or not? See this mic.
Um, not necessarily, but I think like because so cute.
Hello.
What's the name?
Grogo,
I'm so
Grogo,
distracted. What? Grogu.
Grogo. If you watch The
Grogu.
Mandalorian, yeah.
Is it a male? Male.
Boy, yes.
Okay.
So,
No, because I mean, like in the past year, I did another unit about like for PR. So I did about stray animals abuse.
ah,
So it's kind of related, but not really. But at the same time, I just want to know their opinion about like are they taking in new sick animals because of
okay.
COVID? Yeah. Um,
Oh, okay, okay. All right.
yeah, and then the third one, maybe how the blue collar Malaysian workers feel about work from home. I know it's still everyone still have like some mixed feeling. Some like it, some do not. So I just want to know why. Like, is there a new thing that they're doing to keep them occupied, or is work
Mm,
getting worse for them?
oh,
And yeah, and generally it more is a lot related to COVID. Like the depressing side of staying at home, because I know people are still struggling about it, and I feel
mm,
like if I um just find a new story about people just being recently diagnosed with depression or anything, it would,
mm.
yeah. So the general umbrella is COVID in Malaysia.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
Definitely can localize more and tighten it more. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you're there. I mean, it's current. That's what you understand, right? It's current, it's news,
Yeah.
and it's impacting the public. Yep. So that's the right train of thought because
Mm-hmm.
not. I mean, everybody's going to write about COVID, but what aspect, right? There's the work
Yeah.
aspect, the mental health, even the animal aspect, the stray animal
Mm-hmm.
population, things like that. Okay, good. Kotomi, you have any sharings?
Yes, I think I can write about like COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
Same as her, but like I want to interview like how COVID-19 affect to new students, especially for international, and then maybe like for just a high school student or something.
Mm.
I think
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
have any like a career.
High school students, they're younger than you guys, right? They're like 17, 15, all that. Okay. Are they in Japan? Are they opening schools or are they all at home?
No, they're not.
Oh, okay.
Like some schools open, but mostly it's online.
Yeah, okay. Yep. Online learning, is it stressful? Is it?
It's really
Yep.
stressful.
Okay,
Especially I
yeah.
don't like a PC or something.
I know, nobody
I'm
does,
not. I'm
but
not.
good. Yeah, so that's one angle. And any other stories that you may, or at least topics, I want to don't use the word stories, but Any topics that that's interesting around? Anything
Well,
happening in your family? I don't know, your
maybe,
friends.
maybe
It's
it can be
okay. So
entertaining,
Something,
right?
yeah, or
Like
something that you like recently?
yeah,
Yeah.
and usually the best way I find starts with what you're interested in. So like Ellie's really interested in K-pop. So K-pop is really big, really quite, it's a big topic, can be really broad. So what about K-pop that suddenly draws you to it? Are there people following a particular trend, a dance, or just suddenly you see this search of TikTok videos of this particular, whether Blackpink has taken over TikTok, things like that. Or people, you find your friends, if they even they're staying at home, they're dressing up to be, you know what I mean? Uh, then you really kind of from a big picture, you really bring it down to, oh, this is the angle I can find out. Why are they dressing up like so and so? Why are they so silly? But they're bored, they're depressed, they're trying to be and entertain themselves. So it gives readers or viewers an insight to like, yeah, young people are coping with being at home by turning into K-pop. Yeah. So yeah, I think online learning stress, I think it needs to be written more, like even for like you say high school students, because high school students, younger students, because if they don't, can you imagine a young student trying to do this? I can't. Like my friend's kids are he's just all over the table, and he's not going to sit down and learn. So what stress does that add to the family or to the school? How are lessons delivered now if they can't be delivered in person? Okay, so a lot of COVID stuff and more COVID stuff will come out. Yeah, so you get a sense of what you can look out for now. And when you are looking for them now, you got to make it real because you are going to go and have to go and get the information. Who can you speak to? Maybe you can interview a parent, a student, a K-pop specialist, a singer, I don't know. I don't know. I'll never understand it. I like it. I think it's really an amazing industry, and how South Korea has training camps to prep, right, K-pop stars, because it's such a money earner for the country. It's not just something on the side anymore. It's never been. And South Korea is just like, okay, we train, we market, we make money, we produce, we become big. Then the next big trend, we do it first. That's the South Korean attitude. And I suppose Japan as well, right? So okay, so we've got that sort of topics. So look around. The best way to get ideas is to go through your phone, read, speak to your friends, and stuff you're interested in first, and then start moving away from. Start developing like, oh, I can write this story. I can interview this person. I can book a interview and maybe ask him. As long as you're curious, you're okay. This course is fine to do. It is when we start thinking about, oh, it has to be academic, it has to be based on a lot of reading, a lot of the readings the uni gives and all that, then it just is quite boring. Think about what sparks your curiosity. We had one student on Monday. I think she works for a fashion magazine, but she's like a very junior writer. And she says, all I'm writing are captions for social media, and I'm not writing any reports. I said, that's okay. What captions? Why are you writing captions? Oh, I'm just looking at the trends for today's fashion. Then I asked her what fashion, trends. Oh, it's now puff sleeves with whatever. I have no idea about these things. But for a soft story, what fashion tips or what makes the headlines, what's coming back into fashion, it can be a story as well. It can be a soft news story as well. So that was good. Uh, who else did something interesting? Another person, it seems she's in Malaysia, but somehow she was following the Myanmar story. So how Myanmar is going through the coup, and a lot of people died last weekend because of I think the deadliest day. I don't know, I think there was a protest and the army had killed a lot of people. And I was thinking, that's so like, why are you interested in Myanmar? She said, because I've got friends living in Myanmar. So I worry about them. So that is her interest. But it's true, you know, we are now looking. So that's an issue that sparked her interest. Like she wants to know what's happening in Yangon, how are young people coping with that. If she can get, as long as you can get the information, you will be okay. So think of it, it can be something really, really small, like literally next door, like your cat issue, you know, or it can like your online, if you know someone who has online, a young kid who's suffering from stress being online, the parents are really struggling, you can write from that angle and develop it. So that is the beauty of journalism, but that is also what makes it quite challenging. Like I can write about anything, right? Yeah. But I think your guys are okay there. Okay, I will just go now because it's pretty much 12 o'clock, but it's supposed to be 2 hours lah, but it's just the three of us. So and unless if you have like questions. So in the weeks to come, start monitoring the social media reports for your assessment one. And I will put down what we do every week. I think it's already there for week 2. You come with some story ideas on whatever you read, or maybe something that you think you can start doing. And then there will be a writing exercise also next week, which I will give feedback, and then just to get you used to writing for news. Okay, dokies.
Okay.
All right.
I hope it will be okay.
Okay, and if you want to, if you feel like I don't want to do group chats or what, I want a consultation, I think that's a little box there. You can also book a consultation time and chat. Once you have more material, sometimes you're stuck somewhere. Okay, nice. All right, then I will see you online and see you all next week. Back to Wednesday, we're back to normal programming.
Okay.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Can I
Bye-bye.
follow you?